Y'all remember when Watch Dogs was good? Man, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Alright y'all, what's up? It's your man's Cash here. Today, I'm gonna talk about Watch Dogs. If you don't know, Watch Dogs is a series from UBISOFT that's focused mainly around hacking. It's a decent enough series. But Ubisoft seems to be mismanaging this IP and it's kind of sucked lately. You know what I mean? Like, when was the last time you really heard about Watch Dogs? Was it Watch Dogs Legion? You know, that game came out and the DLC was somehow better than the main game. I want to go into a deep dive on how each game in the series failed, and then at the end we're going to get to the big boy, Watch Dogs Legion, and how that game failed. So, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start with Watch Dogs 1. Now, we all know the story of Watch Dogs 1. You play as AIDEN. His niece dies in an assassination, and he goes on a vigilante rampage in Chicago to find out who was responsible for his niece's death. Now, the reason this game failed was because they marketed themselves as the GTA killer. They said that this was going to be the game that would knock GTA 5 off the podium. And we all know how that turned out. Turns out, Watch Dogs 1 wasn't going to take down GTA 5. And the game was considered so mediocre compared to GTA 5 that it just kind of fell out of relevancy. And GTA 5 would remain #1 for the next 10 years. And on to Watch Dogs 2. This game came out, I think, 3 years after Watch Dogs 1. And the story was pretty trash, in my opinion. Instead of going for that dark vigilante vibe in Chicago where there's violence and all that, they instead went for the happy hipster go lucky in San Francisco, which made the story very corny. Basically, you're Marcus and you join DedSec. And what's funny is, in Chicago, DedSec was like a terrorist organization. Even AIDEN didn't want to work with him because he thought it was extreme. That's funny coming from AIDEN, because AIDEN's out here with a grenade launcher blowing up the entirety of Chicago. But turns out, in San Francisco, DedSec is just a bunch of drunk college kids that figured out how to use technology. And so they're out here just doing college kid things, you know? There were 2 good characters in the story, which was Marcus and Wrench. And that's it. Everyone else was just lame or annoying. So essentially, DedSec was there trying to take down Bloom. In the middle of the game, they also have some beef with Noodle. I don't remember why. Noodle? Google. Oh my god. However, aside from the story, the gameplay was a step up from Watch Dogs 1. It was a little less violence oriented, which personally I did not like. However, the hacking was definitely like 10 steps above Watch Dogs 1's hacking. They had so many more options for hacking. They also had the mobile thing. I don't know, I'm gonna show a picture of it. And that was very fun to use. Puzzles were 10 times better than Watch Dogs 1, where instead of it being an iPad mobile game, you actually had to move around and stuff. So the reason this game failed was because it released alongside a lot of critically acclaimed titles, including Uncharted 4, Dark Souls 3, and The Witcher 3 DLC. Thus, nobody cared about Watch Dogs 2, and people just thought it was just another mediocre Ubisoft game, which it kind of was. But yeah, that's it for Watch Dogs 2. On to Legion. Alright, so now we're finally at Watch Dogs Legion. Now, I gotta get a little personal for a minute, because I was actually hyped for this game. I thought this would be the better version of Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk was starting to come out and people were starting to see the cracks in the game. And then the game came out and it came out pretty trash. But this is about Watch Dogs Legion. I was hyped for this game, and then I heard that there was no protagonist. Instead, you could choose anybody, any NPC. And I already knew this game was going to be trash. But I still had my hopes up because your boy was in denial. And the game came out and oh my god! It was trash. It wasn't buggy, but the story just was so inconsistent. The story was so stupid. You barely even have an antagonist, let alone a protagonist. So how does the story even work? None of the characters have any character development. The only character that had some sort of development was Malik, and even then, his character is just dumb. Like, all of his motives make no sense. And they tried to introduce the system with 3 villains. Ubisoft tried to link these 3 things into like the whole scope of the story. 0 Day, and they did. Like, nobody cares, man. Let's get to the DLC real quick, because the DLC they released was actually good. It was way better than the main game. They actually focused on good characters like AIDEN and Wrench, and the story was just a lot better, you know? AIDEN has to save Jackson, who is now grown up and looks like a Manchester United fan. How unfortunate. I feel like I should have left him to die in Chicago, but oh well. So Watch Dogs Legion introduced a system where you could choose any character off the street. On paper, it sounds nice, but in reality, when you're trying to tell a story, it doesn't work because, well, one, you don't have a protagonist, and they have this terrible voice acting because they try to have a different voice for every person. In reality, they have 5 voice actors. They just mix the voices in Odyssey.
Boom! Cuz look at me, blood. I could go bloody pro if I wanted to, you know. Boss man out here, cuz.
And each character has their own ability. Like, some of them can be construction workers and get drones. Some of them have guns. Some of them have missile, James Bond cars. It's good on paper, but for a story mode where you're trying to tell a story and trying to have characters develop, it just doesn't work. But it's a decent concept. You know what would be a good application of this would be like a GTA Online mode where you could recruit the NPCs and stuff like that. You could have a team of NPCs and do jobs and stuff. That is a good application. But Ubisoft, what they tend to do is make a good system and fail at executing it. And for the online, they tried to do a GTA Online system. They even had like a season's pass, season rewards, and it all just kind of fell under because they barely marketed it and nobody cared. It was to the point where they should have just gave it for free. And I mean, it's a shame because there were some fun modes in the online. Like, there was the Spider Bot Arena, which was really fun. They had these GTA Online type missions, which were pretty decent in and of their own. But I think Ubisoft really needs to stop trying to compete with GTA Online because they have such a strong player base. Even if that player base is 5-year-olds, at the end of the day, it's still a player base that's giving out money, you know what I mean? My point being that the GTA 5 player base is very dedicated to the game and they're not about to switch to another game unless if it's like a super high budget quadruple A game or something. Because they pretty much see any game that tries to copy GTA as a GTA clone. So Ubisoft should just stop trying, in my opinion. Now, is Watch Dogs dead? Nah, it's not dead. Yeah, they're definitely gonna make 5 more games of the series, cause here's the thing, right? Ubisoft is really bad at making new IPs. They're really bad at it. They did Roller Champions and they barely marketed Roller Champions, and now Roller Champions is already starting to fail. So Ubisoft will milk any IP that they already have to the fullest. You already saw how many Assassin's Creed games there are. Don't think they won't do the same for Watch Dogs. You see, there's 6 Far Cry games. What makes you think they're not gonna do 6 Watch Dogs games? In conclusion, I want Watch Dogs to be a good game. It's so much potential. Forget all this random stuff. Bring it back to the modern day. Make it AIDEN. You know, AIDEN's doing his vigilante stuff. And put it in like a dark, grim environment. And bring back the gun-focused combat that was in Watch Dogs 1. Because that was fun. Especially the focus meter. Bring back the focus meter. That's the end of the video though. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.